Hello everyone and welcome to ZSR2. We are bringing you another Z2R standard tournament match between Artea and homerjsmash. This is Group B. Our commentary will be provided by Mirai. Take it from here.
Hello everyone, my name is Mirai and welcome to this ZSR restream of the Zelda 2 Randomizer 2021 standard tournament we've got tonight. It is, as VXR just said, between Artea and Homer. This should hopefully be an interesting matchup. We never show up to these things expecting that they're not going to be an interesting matchup, but both of these runners should know what they're doing. Artea has a little bit more under his belt, I think. Homer is a Z1R player who has just recently dipped into the Z2R scene, I believe, but he is doing pretty well with all of the casual races that he's been doing up to this point with the community and the Z2R Discord. So I would expect that both of these runners are more than capable of duking it out and keeping up with each other. Looking at the race room discussion before this, both of them are claiming they're a little tuckered out from whatever events were happening earlier today, but that's no excuse, of course. We expect, as the audience members, we expect this to be a phenomenal race. This is also the Group B matchup here. You might see that in the middle of your screen at the bottom on the restream there. What that means is we've got 28 participants across 6 groups. That does not divide nicely in there, but 2 of the groups have 4 players and the rest of them have 5. This is Group B. And if we link let's see here. You can check out that link if you want to follow along with what we're looking at here in Group B. Artea, this is going to be his first matchup as of his round robin group. And they've had a few weeks up to this point to get these races done. And Artea's been behind a little bit here, so we're going to see a lot of Artea races coming up in the next few weeks. But that is going to be the standings and where they all sit. And we're off. So right off the bat, looks a little vanilla-like, potentially mountainous. We'll have to see if there are a bunch of little snaky pathways along the way here. I didn't catch what that bottom cave was that we jumped into right away. It was probably jump cave because they didn't go exploring into it. But we've got Dairas in the overworld encounters, which Homer is just going to up an A out of that. He feels he can't get through that. Artea pushing through his, although not nearly as punishing. They do have the candle on, so we're going to see the caves this time. This is Magic Container Cave that we're pushing into here. There should be an item in here, hopefully. And there is going to be Death Mountain on Homer's side. Checking out another cave. This is going to be Trophy Cave for Homer. And we're about to see we've got the raft sitting on Artea here in the Magic Container Cave. Unsure if that's going to be useful yet or not. The raft tile may be completely useless, and Homer taking a dive into the lava there, getting hit by the Mew as it jumps off the corner. Always got to watch out for that. Artea also walking into Trophy Cave here. See how both of these runners execute the same cave. But he also gets hit by the Mew on the edge, knocking him into the lava. There's going to be the hammer sitting at the end of Trophy Cave here. We call it Trophy Cave because in the vanilla game, that's where the trophy is found for the spell items. Of course, in the randomizer, everything's randomized, so whatever is found wherever with these particular flags. Not sure if the hammer is going to be useful or not yet either, seeing as we haven't seen any hammer block pass-throughs, any hammer blocked caves. Spectacle Rock may hold something, not sure. Homer also making his way into the Magic Container Cave. Once again, that's a vanilla label. This would be the cave in vanilla that holds a magic container. Each of these caves have obviously a unique identifier to them as you walk in. For the most part, they can all be identified right when you see them, and you know whether they're an item cave or whether they're a pass-through. Again, I believe the cave that was just south from start was probably Jump Cave, seeing as they didn't jump into it. Could have been Parappa or something along those lines, but I'm sure we'll get a chance to look through there. It looks like we might need to use that pass-through cave that's south of start because we're not really seeing anything else that's pushing to the east here, except this little swamp area that Homer's going into. Looks like Artea went to the west and Homer's going to the east. Is Artea? Yes. Love pushing through swamp. It's also nice and slow. And that's thanks to Dig Shake. If anyone is stuck in a big swamp whenever they play the Z2 randomizer, you could just personally thank Dig Shake for that. One of the changes I would actually like to see in the new update, whenever that is, and yeah, we're getting confirmation that that's Jump Cave down there south of start. One of the changes I'd like to see is simply like terrain thresholds And I think it would be interesting to just kind of like turn the swamp down a little bit. So we did see the raft tile down there in the south. Unsure if we can get there yet. Looked maybe it was boots locked perhaps, but having the raft, they're going to want to check that out. We're going to be heading north here, and Artea heading to the west, finding a palace over here. Not going to check that immediately, although it doesn't seem like there's anything up. There's a little bit of a water, a little bit of a lake on Artea's side. There could be boots locked. There could be something on the other side of that water. Again, not having the boots yet, so we'll have to figure that out later. Homer pushing through this Dyra like a pro, pushing on. They're worth 100 experience, and he's going to wait for probably attack 2 there. Not a bad choice. And Artea also struggling with this. He's down to one last hit. He takes the death there. I did not see what palace that was when I was watching Artea die. That was more important at that point in time. But Artea is at 1-1-2, and Homer's probably going to be at 2-1-2 here shortly. Another swamp encounter. We're not going to see a Dyra on this one. Okay, so Royale is checking out. Got Royale on the upstairs on the tracking. She's checking in. She's saying it's Palace 1. And of course, watching chat, I missed what Palace that other one was. I'll wait for chat to help me out here. All right, so we got P1 in the north-ish. And P2 in the west and P1 in the, at least from start, kind of northeast, it seemed. These red Dyras are sure proving to slow down this a little bit here with the swamp as well. Difficult to navigate. Not a friendly start by any means. Artea getting that attack 2. Homer also getting that attack 2. Both 2-1-2 at this point. And we'll see, we haven't seen a town yet. So we're looking for a town. Looking for maybe jump, maybe ferry, of course, we're looking for. But anything to get through this jump cave, perhaps. Maybe the boots we're looking for. We're still looking for medicine cave. We're still looking for heart container cave. And even the pea bag cave, which we'll be able to identify when we walk in. There's going to be stone pillars that we'll first see when we walk into the cave. Grass tile as well is also going to have an item on it. We have a connection to Death Mountain, so that could mean that Death Mountain is going to be our pass-through today, which isn't exactly always what you want to see, but we've seen it a few times in the last few races. It does slow things down a little bit, but we'll just have to see how this plays out. So that looks like Parappa Cave there, the pass-through. There's our raft tile, so we're going to be able to access that. That's going to be the back of jump for Homer over here. And we're going to see where this raft takes us. Looking like the east there with the Death Valley volcano. And here's going to be our first town. This is going to be Darunia. It's going to be child block. They don't have the child, just spell. The spell could be useful, though, depending on if we need to get into the spell tower in New Kasuto. Here's going to be the Risen Peabag Cave on the east for Homer. He's going in here with 2-1-2, which is maybe a little dangerous. If there are any Moas in here, they would be invisible at this point. Neither one of them have the cross. And so there's a Moa hit, and I don't know if he had full life all the way down to 0. I don't know if that was a one-shot or not, but probably not if he's going back in here. So that was definitely hurtful. Artea also making his way over here, just moments behind Homer, also seeing that this is Spell Town here in Darunia. Homer getting that level, 2-1-3 for him. Going to be checking these caves as well. Also in Risen Peabag Caves, neck and neck here, side by side. Oh, one hit on those bats. Wow. Dangerous. It's very dangerous. Homer taking that game over. Not going to see what's in here. We'll see if Artea... Oh, see, there are invisible Moas in here. Something that is quite dangerous. Going to hurt him quite a bit if he gets hit by that. That's why he wants to eliminate this Moa. As annoying as that is, he still gets hit by it. Almost a one-shot there. Skipping that level. And watch out for these bats as well, because they can hurt. So that early east, looking like it might reward something. Artea is going to see the second room here. Hopefully there's nothing too, like a scorpion in here. You don't want to see a scorpion in here. Just waiting for that Tektite to jump. You can get him. Yeah, you can catch him, get his legs. He's got kind of a big hitbox. Get through him. Take that magic level, which he skipped before this. Probably just going to take it in case he dies. There's the glove. Oh, that was such a big find. Unfortunate for Homer, dying just before seeing that, although it won't be too far. It's not too hidden. So the next time he hits the east, he'll see that item cave again. He'll know to go back in there. So the glove is good to have at this point, but there's still so many items to pick up that it's not a game changer at this point. It'll only be a game changer if Homer doesn't pick it up, given the fact that if he doesn't head back to the east before he starts digging in the palaces. If we do see glove blocks inside of palaces, then that's going to be a problem for Homer. Again, not sure how that's going to play out. And I would expect that, given everything we're seeing here, that's our one way to the east that they already know of. So as soon as Homer gets a few more levels and probably sees a little bit more of the west, he will be back to the east via the raft tile. And of course, almost got that P-bag, got knocked out by the Dyra there. That's always bad. That's always a bad feeling. You see that P-bag drop and you're low on health, or you're right on the edge of the screen, and you're like, I wish I could have gotten that, especially in these early levels. He's got a sliver of health left as well. He's hoping to get that 380, which is, I'm assuming, is attack 3. So he's going to try to get this Moblin here. It takes a body hit, takes a death, and that is going to be a game over for him. Also can't reach that attack 3. 222 for levels on Artea's side. He's still on the east over here. Here's going to be P3 or P6 and a nice magenta. We see the water tile as well, which is, of course, inaccessible to them without the boots at this point in time. Looks a little islandsy over here on the east, so the boots are going to be very helpful when they discover them, if they discover them anytime soon. Another pass-through over here for Artea. Still, we're seeing a River Devil block for the time being, at least until we find the boots. Homer also walking into P2, seeing that that's over here in the west. Seems like we might be cut off from a few caves so far on the west. Again, we're missing Medicine Cave. We're missing Heart Container Cave, which looks like Parappa, except it has some enemies when you first walk in. And we're also missing the P-bag/Pillar Cave. So 3 caves, and of course the grass tile that we haven't seen yet on the west. So we may be forced into an early east. We may have a partially segregated west. We might... It's been twice now that we've seen that the boots come in very handy on the west, and they allow access to parts of the continent that are really well hidden and well tucked away, which is a little annoying for the runners if you're not ready to be looking for that, if that's not in the back of your mind. Artea getting beat up here by the Scorpion and its fire projectiles. They're taking 2 deaths in this in these overworld encounters here. He's trying to make it through. These guys are very damaging. He takes the damage there. He's going to get hit again, and that's going to give him a game over on the east as well. It's going to send him back to the west. Not sure if he's going to head back to the east right away. It's a little punishing. And early east can be very punishing, and that's probably why Homer's not on his not in a rush to get back there necessarily. He has a little bit more of the west to clear out at this point in time. Artea maybe heading back to the east, maybe going to finish exploring this area. I don't think he's seen P1. P1 is up in the direction in which Artea is going. Getting a lot of these swamp encounters, again, just slowing things down, filled with Dyras, and even at attack 2, still taking a good amount of hits. But that 100 experience is nice to see. I'm not sure where Homer is, other than in a overworld encounter here. 200 experience on that P-bag gives him that attack 3 that he was looking for. 313 on that. Artea's going to dip into P1 here. Not sure exactly what he's looking for. It could be a gamble. It could be that there are keys dropping in the drop pool. It could be that the bosses themselves are dropping a key, so you may be able to find your way to Horsehead, and then if Horsehead, of course, easily defeatable. If he's dropping a key, which it looks like he's right here, if he's dropping a key, then he can place this gem. So this is something he could do. Otherwise, if it's just dropping a random item, which this flag set is set for random items dropping after bosses, but that random item could just simply be the vanilla key that drops. We'll see right here. So we're dropping 1-ups and not keys. That's not what Artea wants to see. That's not what he came in here for. He got a little bit of experience off of Horsehead there. But early on, he was looking for the key here. But later on in the game, seeing that 1-up is going to be a nice thing, especially when you're... If Great Palace, of course, the final palace of the game, once we reach Great Palace and you're on Thunderbird, if Thunderbird is a little deep into the Great Palace itself, then seeing that 1-up drop is always going to be welcomed at that point. So I'm not sure what else we're going to be seeing here on the west. It seems like we're a little locked in. I'm not sure if I'm missing one of the pass-through caves that we haven't fully seen just yet. We've seen both sides of Jump. We've seen both sides of Parappa. They seem to be quite useless at this stage. It seems like our only access points are going to be Death Mountain or the raft tile, which takes us directly east. And Death Mountain looked like it may have also been in Islands Death Mountain. So once again, boots are going to be very nice to have when trying to traverse across a biome like that. These red Dyras, yep. Artea just up and A, he's out of there. He's like, I'm going to go ahead and reset this and pick a different direction to go. But unsure, we're not seeing anything just jump out at us here. Again, is he going to jump into Death Mountain? It looks like he's headed towards this connector. That's going to be Death Mountain here. So he's going to mess around a little bit here to see if he can find anything interesting. When it comes to this Death Mountain, we're not looking at a shuffled Death Mountain in the sense where the caves, when we look at the caves, the caves are, of course, pointing in the direction for which they will connect. So if you're going to enter into a cave from bottom and then going into it, moving north, that cave is going to connect somewhere to another cave in the north. So just keep that in mind when you're watching these players navigate Death Mountain at any point, and any pass-through cave that's true for. So all caves are going to point in the direction which they're facing. Otherwise, if we saw shuffled caves or shuffled vanilla Death Mountain or something like that, shuffled cave connections, that becomes quite a nightmare to keep track of, and you're never really sure. It's something you're more or less might have to write down on paper to see where everything goes. So a little annoying for sure, but something we don't have to deal with in these flag sets. Homer looks like he's looking for a few hints there. I don't know if he saw anything in that room there. Probably also going to check where the child is. Maybe the spell. He wants to know where that's at. But again, nothing being revealed to these runners here. This is unfortunate. I'm sure Homer, as he doesn't have as much experience under his belt, he probably wasn't hoping for something to where you have to dig through all this ridiculous connectors or a punishing east early on. I know I wouldn't be looking for that. So go east to find the magic jar, I believe is what the child gave us as a hint there. And so I'm feeling a little bad for these runners if they can't find a connection or they can't make any progress soon enough. It might be kind of a grind, kind of a dig. We'll have to see. Homer heading back into the item cave, the Risen Peabag cave here in the east, to see what was in here. He's going to be rewarded with the glove, of course. And he should be able to make it through here this time with life 4. He might get clipped by the Moa. Oh, did you see that? He did the stab. He actually got a wrap on his attack. Sometimes that happens. You can catch the very edge of the screen and it wraps back around, and your sword can hit what's on the other side of the screen. So on the other side of the screen at the edge, at the exit point here, is going to be a rock formation. He hit the rock formation accidentally, knocking him back, and then the Moa got him at the last second. That was not kind. I would not be happy to see that. So yeah, that was very interesting. But he's got to face off against a Tektite. No big deal here. Oh, that sword beam missed the Tektite. He dipped right underneath that. But the Tektites are not difficult to fight. Pushing through, getting that glove, being rewarded, but still not really understanding where we want to be headed at this point. Here's Hammer Cave for Artea. I'm not sure how many connections it took to get to this point, but maybe Hammer Cave will have something very interesting in terms of progression. If it does, that's going to put Artea a good bit ahead of Homer, seeing as he has a good little dig ahead of him, that being Homer inside of Death Mountain to get to this point. Game over on the east again for Homer. That's a punishing cave, again, even at these low levels. The invisible Moas, they still take a ton of damage off. You know, some people scoff at that early cross that you pick up, and sometimes it doesn't even come in to play, but other times that early cross can be really useful, especially, an early cross here would have been useful for these players to at least see if the Moa is going to kill them or not. Otherwise, you can try to dodge them as best as you can in overworld encounters and things like that. So it's going to be Artea picking up another level. It's going to be a 4-2-3 there, making his way. He's still got 3 screens before he's going to be in the Hammer Cave item spot. Homer also digging into Death Mountain as well, seeing that there's really nothing on the east. And I'm not sure if they're fully blocked on the east or not, but it is really punishing. So going to Death Mountains might not be such a bad idea. You know that you can probably reach Hammer Cave, although with an islands biome like this, there's no guarantee that Hammer Cave won't be boots blocked. However, in this seed, where it's open, it's free, it's available, as Artea is about to get the item here in this final room. And that's going to be a magic container for him. So he's at 5 magic containers. Not really what they were looking for in terms of progression here. And it's still a mystery, I think, to everyone watching on where we're supposed to go. It might be that there's a connector sitting here, maybe to Maze Island, buried in the island's Death Mountain here. That's entirely possible. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where Homer is headed, if he's headed in the same direction that Artea was. I think Artea headed into this cave, but I'm not entirely sure. There were a few caves that he went through. But even if Homer finds Hammer Cave, it's not the answer right now. It may play in to be partially the answer, because we don't know if the old woman in New Kasudo is going to have a progression item. If she wants, say, 7 magic containers, then it's entirely possible that this magic container that they're getting out of Hammer Cave is going to be useful, but there's no guarantee on that. So it could just be somewhat wasted, although I don't think anyone really scoffs at a magic container ever, unless maybe it's this early into progression and you're kind of hoping for maybe the boots or something like that. But magic containers are universally accepted as, I'll take it. If I see it, I'll take it. No one is just looking at a magic container and saying, no thanks. Artea still digging into Death Mountain, probably trying to find some other answer along the way here. I'm not sure if there is an answer. I'm not sure. This is really unfortunate for both of these runners, though. However, at the same point in time, Artea, having a little bit more experience under his belt, isn't really able to take off, because even Homer, being the non-veteran Z2R player that he is, he's not far behind. He's not far behind. He took the early game over in that first item cave, missing out on the glove, but he was able to make his way back there and pick up the glove as well, while Artea really hasn't been able to pull ahead at all. And Homer is also just closing in on him once he finds Hammer Cave, which, again, I'm not sure where it is, but it's nearby here. There it is. He's not going to go in. Interesting. I think maybe he just wants to check what these other caves lead to, perhaps? Not sure. Maybe he's looking for that level. No, he needs 400 experience, just shy of 400 experience to get another level. He did get a 1-up or 2 along the way, because he does have 3 lives remaining. I wonder what he's looking for at this point. I'm just waiting to see what's happening, if he's going to dig back into Hammer Cave. He doesn't really have much of a choice, so he's going to go back into Hammer Cave here. And again, we all know that it's just a magic container. He's hoping for the boots, I'm sure, something to get us through this. Maybe even the magic key, because the magic key would open up progression in the palaces. We know that bosses are not dropping keys, at least from Artea's side, we know that. Homer doesn't know that yet. And it looks like Artea has made his way to the other half of the west through a Death Mountain connector cave. It's going to be Jump Town in Saria, but we're on the back side of Saria, not the front side. That's interesting. Very interesting. I wonder if Homer doesn't find that in his current dig, then he is probably going to find himself a good bit behind, unless there's something on the east that neither one of our runners have discovered yet. Yeah, good call. Animus in chat saying Bagoo may be required. This would not be the first time that we've seen recently where Bagoo, if not required, is going to be incredibly helpful to progress through the seed. There's a good bit of forest right next to Saria. I might have done a little bit of digging, just a little bit of digging to see if any Lost Woods tiles were in that area, but I don't know. I don't know what these runners are thinking at this point. We're already 20 minutes in. We don't have anything that's really revealing any sort of progression to us at this point in time. We've got some things that are set up for potential progression in the future, but nothing to push us into palaces just yet. But here's going to be the grass tile. Just a P-bag on the grass tile. At least it's a beefy 500-point P-bag. Artea is going to skip the magic, take the life level. So he's going to be at 425. Looking at Homer's screen, he's at 314. Just slightly behind Artea. Not a big difference. We when it comes to life and attack effectiveness, it does look like Saria is blocking the way to the rest of the west here. So unless Bagoo is sitting right next to Saria, then we're going to have to find another route on top of this route. But I was saying that the attack and life effectiveness of the stats in this game, in this flag set, they are vanilla. So there's nothing that's going to be taking off. It's not like Attack 4 is going to be incredibly strong versus Attack 3. So they're going to be similarly geared stat-wise, at least. Looks like Artea is another 500-point P-bag for him. He's liking that. Looks like Artea is going to be digging for Bagoo at this point. We haven't seen any Lost Woods tiles. Oh, here's a Lost Woods tile. So these are the tiles you're looking for, that Bagoo will be somewhere around this. This is, I'll say dead giveaway, but it might not be a dead giveaway. So keep that in mind if you are running this. And this flag set is going to generate Bagoo's Woods. So it's going to generate it somewhere. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to generate it in a useful position. But knowing what we know and seeing that Saria looks to be forced at this point, there's Bagoo right there. That's going to open up things up for Artea. If Homer cannot find that connection, he is going to fall further behind. I'm not entirely even sure where that connection is from Artea's side. Just saw him pop into a connector cave and boom, he was over on this side on the west. So hopefully Artea finds that sooner than later. I don't know how many lives he has left over there. I know Artea is down to his final life. So if he finds himself in a game over situation, that's going to set him pretty far back. Not sure if he's going to find a palace. There will be one palace remaining. We've seen Palace 1, Palace 2 on the first starting side of the west here. So we know that the third palace, whatever palace it may be, is going to be found here on this side of the west somewhere over here. So he will have an opportunity to up an A if he needs to get his lives back. Just waiting to see if Homer's making his way to that connector cave. He's got the idea, though. He's got the idea down that it looks like a Death Mountain connection. There must have been just a hard block in the east that I just didn't see the edge of. I know the last thing I saw in the east, there was the River Devil blocking the road, but I wasn't sure if there was anything further south than that. Being an islands biome in the east, it could have simply been a dead end at that point. Speaking of dead ends, Homer's also found himself in a dead end here, finding himself unable to find that connection to the west. He doesn't know it exists, but he knows something has to exist somewhere. So he's going to keep digging. I didn't see the spell that was... Oh, we did see the spell. It was jump in... Oh, wow. So this is going to be medicine container a medicine cave. He's not going to jump in there. He's on his final life. Maybe a good choice. Maybe he wants to get his lives back before he jumps into potentially punishing cave there. So this is going to be Mito. This is going to give him... He's going to find out where the medicine's at. And he's going to get downstabbed as well now that he has jump. So that's going to be a big opening for Artea, but we're still missing a portion of the west. We haven't seen the third palace. We've seen Medicine Cave there that Artea will undoubtedly go back in to check. But we still haven't seen the Pillar Cave, the Pea-Bag Cave, or Heart Container Cave. I believe we're missing both of those caves. So there's still a portion of the west that looks like it's maybe boots blocked at some level. And we've seen some bodies of water, so it's entirely possible that there is something that's hiding behind a lake that requires the boots. Because even after Artea gets downstab here, he still does, unless Medicine Cave holds the answer, which it may. That may be where the boots lie. That may be where the magic key lies, and that's going to open things up. Perhaps the boots are in one of the palaces that we have available. And VXR rolled the seed. ZSR staff, pretty good at rolling seeds lately, I will say. So I don't know if this is the cave. That cave looks a little suspicious. We have two headed to the right. I thought I only saw one exiting on the right, so this may be the cave that Homer needs. Again, I'm not familiar with where Artea found that cave to make his way to the other side of the west here. Artea making his way through Medicine Cave here. He did get downstabbed. That's going to be a big benefit for him pushing through this, but he's already gotten hit a few times. He's down to half his health on his final life, I believe, and this shouldn't be too bad in here. This may be the progression item that we're waiting for, though. This may be big. He's going to take another life level, putting him at 426. And that's going to be the boots. That is going to open up the east. It's going to open up the rest of Death Mountain if we ever need to come back for Spectacle Rock. This is really going to be a game changer for Artea. Hopefully Homer finds that connection cave very soon. Otherwise, he is just going to be left behind. He's not feeling good. He can't be feeling good this early into the seed. You don't have anything. Oh, he's going to up an A out of Death Mountain. That could be a setback. That could be the end of it in terms of progression for Homer. He may always just end up much further behind at this point. There's going to be the Maze Island Connector Bridge heading to Maze Island itself this time. That's going to bring us two new items as well. Artea did not check the cave there that was sitting. That could have been a final item cave. I probably would have stepped back out for a moment and checked that item cave that was sitting right next to the Maze Island Connector Bridge. Here's going to be our first item on the Maze Island. And the magic key. This is really, really putting Artea ahead now. Homer doesn't know this. He looks like he's going to head back to the east, thinking there's maybe something he missed. Maybe one of the connection caves on the east actually leads to something. Unfortunately, knowing that the magic key and the boots are connected to this side of the west, I don't think he's going to find anything over in the east that's really going to open things up, unless somehow he finds the fairy spell and maybe begins to dig into palaces. He still won't have the boots. He'll still have to do the Death Mountain dig. And I don't know at what point do you feel that you need to dig back into Death Mountain. I don't know at what point does he re-explore the east here. feel things out and say, you know what, it's probably in Death Mountain, even though I wasted so much time before, it's probably in Death Mountain. So this is the area that I didn't get a chance to see beyond, and I don't think our runners made it past this point. So I think they got thrown into some unforgiving overworld encounters, and they weren't able to push past this point in the east. So Homer's going to show us a little bit more of the east. Again, I don't know if it's going to reveal anything all that interesting. Artea looking for that second item and doesn't quite find it yet. We also don't know what palace is on Maze Island here. But Artea's got a whole slew of the game just opened up to him here. Here's going to be the second item. It is going to be the flute, which is no longer, unless we see a three-eyed rock that holds something necessary, the flute itself is not going to be necessary. The River Devil was blocking a road, but unfortunately, the boots bypassed that. So I didn't see how many magic containers it was to get into the old woman's basement, and I didn't see what spell it was here in Nukasudo because I was busy looking at Artea's flute pickup. So it's 6 magic containers, and we missed the spell. We all missed the spell. He might get the spell anyway. Looks like he's going to grab it. It is free after all. Dash spell. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Use this to go fast is dash. I had a nice high 108 magic points at Magic 1. There's really no reason for him to have taken any magic levels at this point, so I don't blame him not having any magic to cast. It's probably better to just pump your experience into attack and life. But Artea did pick up, well, now 2 magic levels in addition to the one that you start with. Also not really having anything to cast either, other than maybe jump, which wouldn't be too expensive at early levels anyway. Ultimately, here we go. We're going to see this item cave. It is Heart Container Cave. He's not interested. Did we see Heart Container Cave? He's not interested in Heart Container Cave. I lied. He's coming back. He wants to see what this is about. Looks like Homer found the... that would have been Nukasudo hidden behind the forest tile, I assume. Or no, it wasn't. Okay, so this is the desert tile for a heart container. Nothing too progression-wise there. Another magic container here in Heart Container Cave. And I do apologize if that's confusing. Again, we're using vanilla labels, so it does help to know just what the vanilla labels are. This being a Heart Container Cave in vanilla, where you would have found a Heart Container playing the vanilla version of the game. That's just the way that we refer to these things, but the randomizer put a magic container in here instead this time around. Looking to see what Homer's going to find here. I assume he was in the second item cave, just finding a heart. So he's a little beefier than Artea, but unfortunately, Artea has those progression items. There's that final palace for Artea. I do believe he's on his final life still. He's been hanging on with that final life. There's Fairy Town behind the trophy. So he's going to go check. He's going to get his life back, and he's going to go check for the spell item hint. That was Sunken Teabag Cave for Homer. So there's a 3-eyed rock. Homer showing us a 3-eyed rock. He does not have the flute, so he's not going to be able to reveal what's behind that. We've already seen the water tile and the desert tile. We've seen both caves as well. So the only thing that may be hidden behind there is maybe the town that has thunder. Maybe. Otherwise, it could hold absolutely nothing. It could just hold a pointless pass-through cave. It could hold a pointless, like a lava encounter, something along those lines. There's going to be GP here. The final palace, that's quite a dig. That's quite a dig to get the GP. So even once they have all 6 gems placed, there's still going to be quite a walk to get back to here. At least I assume there is, unless there's a shortcut with the boots that reveals itself after Artea uncovers what else is remaining over here in the west. Homer deciding to work on some magic levels there, having 425 for levels. Artea at 436. There's Thunder Town that's going to be for free, so never mind what I was saying about the theory that 3-eyed rock may hold a town that has thunder. Thunder is for absolutely free, sitting right next to the palace where you're going to be required to have it. So Artea at this point has a huge lead, all the progression items, except for Fairy, but he does know that the trophy is behind it, and I totally missed. Did he go check? Did he actually go check? Did Artea go check what where the trophy was? I completely missed that if he did. I assume he did. Okay, so it's in Barba. Barba slithers with the trophy. Okay. So we have seen a P3/6 already. That is going to be, I believe, the first palace they ran into on the east. There is a little bit of a shortcut there. So this was a shortcut back to where they... Oh, no, it isn't. I lied. That's not a shortcut. Just a little lake. And And Homer finding himself in a really fun encounter there with all those Lizalfos, taking a hit at the end. He's probably on his last sliver of life, so he's going to come back in here, maybe pick up some more, maybe get a life refill. I don't know how many lives he has remaining, but there are some punishing encounters here, it seems, on the west. And I don't know, if I was on my last life, I might also try to get some life back before heading back out there. But Artea is digging into P2, and he's going to have no real blocks unless there's a fairy block. But those rooms are pretty, you see them somewhat infrequently, so it's probably safe to say that he's not going to see a fairy block. If he finds any blocks, he can get through them with the glove. And of course, he's got the magic key, so he doesn't have to worry about key doors whatsoever. Homer making his way through that giant swamp in the east here. He's going to check probably the sort of western side, the northwestern side of this particular large island that he's on to see what's over there. I don't know if he's going to be rewarded with anything. He is not. Looks like a mountain pass is a mountain range is blocking that there. So he is going to be he's thinking, I got to go back into Death Mountain. But maybe he's not thinking that, because maybe he would be up and A if he were thinking that. It is unfortunate, though. This is, we've seen a lot. I don't want to say a lot, but we've seen a handful of seeds that have really just not been all that friendly to runners who aren't all that experienced. And while I said that Homer was doing just fine, I don't know if he was ready to just go back into digging Death Mountain as deep as Artea had. He didn't dedicate as much time to it. And you never know, though. You never know whether there was something else that he missed. He could have easily, the answer could have easily been here in the east the entire time. And when you're digging Death Mountain for so long, you feel maybe this isn't the right thing to be doing. And so that was Homer. That's probably what Homer was thinking, up and A out of Death Mountain. But here he is stuck in the east, really not anywhere to go at this point. Artea placing his first gem here in P2, making quick work of Helmet Head. And not sure if he's going to dig out the item. He doesn't really need anything, but I wonder if he feels behind at this point. Almost 35 minutes into the seed, he's going to up and A out of there. Again, I don't think we saw the item. If we had, I missed it. It would have been on the way to Helmet Head. But Homer having a little bit of a difficult time making it through this blue Lizalfo, taking a good bit of damage from these guys. You got to bring them back a little bit, and then you can either jump over them or attack them, fight them a little bit better. Yeah, he's got it now. You got to bring him back. Then you can just get over him. As long as the other enemies in the area are not slowing that down. Oh, I did forget he doesn't have downstab. That's right. He doesn't have downstab, so it is a little bit more difficult. He does have to take a body hit, but wants to dodge all these flying maces because he's down to his last hit, and that's going to take him out here to somewhere, to another palace here on the east. He's still not going. This is, we know that this isn't the right way. This is going to give him the opportunity to up an A, though, and get his lives back. But it's still not the answer, as Artea is making his way through P1 here. He's already killed Horsehead. He's going to open this door. He's going to place this gem. Not sure if he's going to jump in and check for the item. When it comes to P1 being the smallest palace, he is going to check. He's going to at least maybe try to get another level and push himself beyond this threshold that he's at currently. I don't blame him. It's pretty much a free gem placement, and it kind of feels bad this far into the game that he's not getting anything from the Dripper. He wants something from the Dripper, but he's not getting anything. It feels bad to just throw something down. Ooh, blue Iron Knuckles for a low 70 experience. Oh boy. So that's not really worth it. But what is also not worth it is placing the gem and only getting, say, like 400 experience 36 minutes into the seed. So he's probably going to try to hit at least 690. And if not, pick up that level, at least just push past it to pick up the next level beyond that with the gem itself. Homer, once again, of course, not having downstab, finding himself in these terrible Scorpion overworld encounters. He's not having a good time. I'm sure he's got nothing but frustration happening right now. Just the seed is not revealing itself to him. We all know he needs to go back into Death Mountain. That's the answer. I think maybe he feels he's, discovered or looked through everything that he could. Unfortunately, though, he hasn't, and there's a good bit of the West that is still sitting behind that. Key progression items being the boots and the magic key. And then, of course, that opens up picking up Jump and Saria, and that opens up Downstab. And we're seeing all of that on Artea's side. And of course, Artea just digging into these palaces, not looking back. He's almost in go mode, especially now that he knows that P6 holds the trophy, and that's going to be the key for Fairy. He's got everything else. Once he sees P6, he's going to pick up that trophy, finish whatever he needs to finish, head back, get the Fairy spell, and then hit up GP. And that's going to be GG for Artea. Unless there's something along the way that just really trips him up, which is pretty unlikely. You know, Homer is probably going to be set in the back. He's stabbing at the signpost. I would also be quite frustrated. Speaking to the NPC who knows nothing, stabbing at the signpost, yeah, that's frustration right there. Take it out on the signpost. If only these runners in these early stages could phone a friend or, you know, ask the audience or something along those lines. Unfortunately, that's not allowed. So we're going to see Homer just kind of redigging and retracing his steps here, knowing that it's not in the east, knowing that he really needs to head back into Death Mountain. Artea now at 556, it looks like, picking up a few levels there. I don't believe he dug the item out of P1, and again, it's kind of it's a 50-50. Do you want to do it? Do you not want to do it? Especially at this point, it's so late in the progression, he could feel like he's behind. You know, it's entirely possible that Homer would have found that connection first to the west. It was available and you know, readily available for anyone to pick up. And Artea finding it seemingly somewhat late, might feel like he's behind, might feel like Homer is ahead of him, and not wanting to dig these assumingly unnecessary items out of these palaces, knowing that he just needs one from P6 and then he's good to go. Artea also is, again, fairly competent with the randomizer. So him at low levels, I believe he's somewhat of a Max Rando player, and Max Rando can be very punishing, throwing you into Great Palace with low levels. So he's used to that. He races against Trails casually from time to time, and he seems to perform well in that setting. Trails likes to throw some tough seeds into the mix, and some long GPs, which long Great Palace, which we're playing with a short Great Palace here. So if we get into Great Palace and it seems a little punishing or excruciating or tedious to push through, just know that this is considered a short Great Palace, and that a full Great Palace, the long Great Palace, is might be even more punishing. But we're not playing with that, of course, because that could be where some people just simply get too frustrated and end their race in a long GP. It's happened plenty of times in casual races. It's happened in the seeds that some people have shared in the Z2R Discord that we have a seed vault channel where people share their seeds that they played. Some of us play with long GP every once in a while, and when you've got a long GP and it's very punishing, it can be very, very frustrating. But again, we are playing with a short GP in this particular flag set. I didn't see what spell that was, but here it is. It's going to be shield. I'm pretty sure he didn't check the sign. Probably not necessary. Or maybe he did. He did kill that Moa on the outside. DJ Rodon, thank you very much. Trying to hold it together here. Unfortunately, the seed just not really opening up, and Homer is sitting on the game over screen here, not really sure what he wants to do. 40 minutes in, he's not been able to progress through the seed, unfortunately. I wonder if he's not said anything in the race room just yet, but without a doubt, he is beyond the threshold of probably being pissed off at this point, seeing as he's just nothing is showing up. Doesn't look like he's heading back to Death Mountain either. I don't know. I'm not sure what I would do in his position. Thank you, Crumb. Thank you, Crumb. Young Dolly Parton. Thank you. Yeah, Alan, definitely he's tilted for sure. That's a perfect way to put this. And again, I don't blame him. Nothing is really opening up here. This is going to be a quick Parappa connector for him to get to the other side of this rock formation so that he can, I guess, jump back to the east again. Artea, I believe, got a 1-up out of the old woman's basement. I did see him pick up 1-up, but I wasn't sure if that was where he got it from. Yeah, so he's back on the east where Homer had already been, and while Homer had already had a bit of exploration here, it's nothing really that's setting him ahead from Artea. Artea able to quickly catch up, seeing as he's able to avoid most of what the island's biome has as a challenge, which is, of course, its skinny little bridges and forced pass-throughs and whatnot, as we've seen numerous times on Homer's side. Back on the east for him, I don't know if there's anything he hasn't seen yet. I'm not sure what he could be retracing at this point. I mean, I would probably be redigging Death Mountain, just thinking I missed something there, because Death Mountain is a bit more of a maze. It's a bit more convoluted, especially as an island's Death Mountain. So I would probably be digging back into Death Mountain, thinking there had to be something I missed. There's so many caves here, I had to have missed a cave, right? Because I think we've seen everything that the East has had to offer for him. Looks like just a Wilson encounter for the Three-Eyed Rock. So nothing progression-wise there. We pretty much knew that from the start, seeing as we had seen all of the connector caves and overworld tiles. Item caves and overworld tiles up to this point. There would be nothing progression-wise locked behind Three-Eyed Rock. Other than, I think we had seen all the palaces as well. There's that one, and then there's one right when we enter in. So we would have seen all the palaces as well. There could have been nothing really locked behind Three-Eyed Rock. We're going to see what's on the water tile here, though. Another magic container that's going to put us at 7. So Artea in a very good spot, very comfortable spot. He's ready to jump into these palaces as he sees them here. This is going to be 3/6. We're not sure if it is 6. We'll know by the windows or the boss. And we'll know that we need to dig the item out of here for the fairy spell, which is, of course, in Rudo, which means we need the trophy. Sparkle's Wilson encounter. They call it a Wilson encounter simply because from the show Home Improvement, Wilson, the neighbor, you could only ever see the top of his head at any point in the show. So when you go into one of those encounters, the overworld encounters that we call the Wilson encounters, you only ever see the top of those Lozolfos that are chucking those things are called boulders, I believe. They're chucking the boulders at you. So that's why they're nicknamed the Wilson encounter. And this is going to be a quick barba for Artea, taking that first drop, which was there was an exit to the left and a drop without an elevator. It looks like it should have an elevator, but it doesn't have an elevator, and it shouldn't have an elevator. Takes a drop to a crumbling bridge, heads right, and immediately into a barba, but there's no guarantee he's going to quickly find the item. Could be right behind Barba, could be somewhere else. P6 is going to be a very large palace. I believe, I might be slightly mistaken here, I believe it has a vanilla room count of 26 rooms, which is second largest, right behind P5, which I believe is 27 rooms. But when it comes to the randomizer, the palaces can roll up or down in terms of room count. They can roll up or down 25%. So we might see a P6 over 30-something rooms at this point, which might take Artea a little bit of time to dig the item out of. Then again, could be 2 rooms over. You don't know because Rando's going to Rando. And Homer over here in the east still making his way through these terrible encounters. They're not really fun. He doesn't have downstab, and they're usually full of punishing enemies. So he's trying to do an encounter skip to get past these. It's interesting, though. I wasn't aware that there was really anything else. It's going to be a dead end for Artea there. I wasn't aware that there was really anything else on the east. So with this revealing itself to Homer, he's probably just kind of grasping at straws thinking, man, this is it. But unfortunately, this isn't it. Artea should probably, she's going to say he should probably just head back and reset the crumbling bridge, but he takes the death. I believe he probably had enough to cast Fairy, perhaps. Never mind, he doesn't have Fairy. Not yet. No Fairy yet. JD, the items, we know they're in a palace just because the NPC who locks us out gave us a hint that said it is in a palace, but it doesn't have to be a palace specifically. They could just say, if an NPC says something like, go west to find this item, or go east to find this item, that means it's going to be found in a standard item cave or overworld tile that contains an item on the west or the east. They'll let us know that ahead of time. If it's a specific palace, they'll say which boss is holding onto that item. Each boss has a slightly different bit of text with it. So Horsehead being a horse, it says Horsehead neighs. Helmet Head is, I believe it just says, I'm not sure what Helmet Head is, but Rebanek is on a horse, so Rebanek rides. Karok disappears, Guma sits and slithers. But I don't know what, off the top of my head, what Helmet Head's text is. Another level for Artea, putting him at 656, very comfortable position. He's got more than enough to take on Helmet Head guards. There you go. Royal with cheese. Tracker from upstairs. Filling us in. Thank you very much. And it looks like Homer has made his way back to Death Mountain at this point. This is a last-ditch effort. Unfortunately for him, it is very likely way too far behind at this point. Finding Spec Rock, though, this might be, he's thinking it's an answer. It's not. It's going to be the last magic container, seeing as Artea has all the other ones. You start with 4. Artea's found 3. We have 8 total. And of course, Homer finding the last location for that other magic container. Not something that Artea is probably going to be looking for. He's probably not going to head back into Death Mountain and check out Spec Rock. He knows exactly what he needs to push forward at this point. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is, VXR. He did seem to jump out of P6, so maybe he has completely slipped his mind that trophy is in P6. Again, I didn't see the hint. I'm just going off of what chat was saying. So to the left is going to be an item there for him if he wants it. This is P5, but he doesn't want it, although he falls into the lava there, probably an accident. Yeah, an immediate item there in P5, that's a community room. Jumping up and down, making sure that he's nice and fresh for this jump. There it is. He makes the jump over the lava. A little hot, but makes it. The item to the left there is not fairy blocked, if that's what you're asking about, Clem. In order to get out of that item room, though, you're going to need either the fairy or the glove. But it is so close to the start, you can just simply up an A out of there. Oh, Clem, maybe you're asking about the item in P6. Yeah, I didn't see if it was fairy blocked or not. All I noticed was that he was on the up and A screen, and then he was out of there. So, well, I mean, wait, how can... Yeah, he can't... Wait, it can't be fairy blocked because that's the item for fairy. So, it's definitely not going to be fairy blocked. The randomizer is not that cruel. Yeah, so I guess Homer is back on the east again. I'm really not feeling good for Homer here. I wish he had found that connector to the west. That would have opened everything up for him. It was pretty linear from there, giving the boots, giving the magic key. Here's going to be Guma for Artea, putting on shield, rightfully so. Already injured a little bit. Looks like about 2 heart containers is going to be taken off if he gets hit again by that flail. Looks like Guma had a little bit of extra health this time around. Attack 6, taking a few hits to knock off that first bar of health, and he takes the death. But looks like Artea is going to make quick work of him. This is his final life, though, so he may take a death. It didn't seem like Guma was too far in. I'm sure he knows the way back here. And that's going to be the old woman he did for Homer's side here, finding the 7th, or the 6th magic container to get into the old woman's basement, seeing the one up, being unhappy about that, and not sure where else to go at this point. Artea making quick work of Guma there on his second attempt. Homer does already have 2 wins and just 1 loss. This is going to be Artea's first race of this group. So it's entirely possible that Homer does not get eliminated at this point. There still may be somewhat of a 2-2 tie. When it comes to Group B in the round robin setup here for this preliminary placement stage, there are a lot of races left in Group B. So anything can happen. And there may still be some 2-2 ties because it doesn't look like Homer is probably going to pull out a win here. If he does, he's probably going to have to hit reset and put in some Game Genie codes at this point. Artea has such a lead on him that he is definitely not going to be catching up unless Artea just falls asleep, or maybe there's some technical difficulties and he has to forfeit. You can't discount that, but that's pretty rare that happens. So Homer is likely not going to walk away with this one with a win. Artea making his way throughout the east, going into Death Valley here. We know that it's not going to be, Great Palace. Great Palace was the last palace we found deep on the west. So we know that this is going to be presumably Palace 3 at this point. We've seen 6, we've seen 5, could be 4, I guess. I don't know if we saw 3 earlier. So for me, I may have missed one or the other, and this is either going to be 4. Okay, it's going to be 3 here in Death Valley. So we saw 4 elsewhere. Trails, Homer has not been all throughout Death Mountain yet. It seems like that connector to the west was pretty. It was a west connector that led to Death Mountain, and then it was a good dig in the island's Death Mountain that led to the other connector cave that took us to the other part of the west, which only gave us access to the grass tile and Saria. And Saria was, of course, in a mountainous biome. One side of it was on the mountains, the other side was on the other side. So Bagoo's Woods was right next to Saria, and that gave us access to get across Saria, also opened up the jump spell. Mito was on the other side of that, so was Medicine Cave. Mito would give us, with the jump spell, would give us access to downstab. And then, of course, Artea then headed back into Medicine Cave. That was where the boots were. That opened up even a little bit more portion of the west. He really had nowhere else to go at that point, so it wasn't like a secret. It was pretty much the only way that he had left was Medicine Cave there. That gave him the boots. Then he saw the Maze Island Connector Bridge further on the west, along the northern coast of the west. That took him directly to Maze Island itself, and then it also opened up the final town, and Great Palace was over there as well as Heart Container Cave was right next to that, which was a magic container. So the west was really crazy, really, really unforgiving for new runners, and Homer headed back to the east again. I don't know at this point. So this is going to be P3 here, as we had predicted, based on everything else we'd seen. I guess P4 is on Maze Island. Another drop room here. He's gonna take the gamble, go with the drop, or not. He's gonna go get that skeleton. He doesn't like the way he's looking at him up there. Oh, he's not gonna take the drop. He took the drop in P6. Let him right to Barba pretty much. Not gonna take the drop here in P3. This is actually a dead end room, so it looks like he's gonna be forced into the drop. I do wonder what's going through Homer's mind at this point. It's just interesting to know why he doesn't like Death Mountain. That will be, might be a forced ferry to get to the boss. That would be interesting. But we're going to find ourselves in the same crumbling bridge room at the bottom of the drop. Artea is also going to head right, rightfully so. That's your standard routing here. And this is going to take him to Reba Neck. This is the exact same layout we saw in P6 for the most part, at least, to get to the boss. Same exact route, but with attack 6, he's going to have no problem just knocking Rebanak off of his horse, going in for the fast kill here, no downstab, shenanigans, and that's going to be it for Rebanak. Probably not going to dig out the item, and he's probably just going to up an A after this, get out of here, but he still has to go back to 6 and get the item out of there so he can get Fairy, unless he's a big gambler. Unless he's really gambling on no fairy blocks or fairy not being too useful in Great Palace. I don't really think that's Artea's style, especially in a full 6-gem clear and these standard tournament races here. I don't think that's the way he's going to go, so we will have to see him back in P6. Again, not really sure why he headed out of P6. Do we remember what the medicine was blocking? Was that... Okay, so medicine is reflect, that's right. This is always a fun room here. He's not going to take it, though. He's going to go up to check what's there. Maybe remembering that it could be an item room right at the top of this elevator. It is not. Oh, but it does lead to the backside of the same room, so it looks like it's probably a loop, and this room from this direction is quite terrible with the double Moa. But he's got a high enough attack to where it's just one hit on that Moa, takes him out, and this is going to put him, yes, this is a loop, right back to the same elevator here. Maybe worth an up and A? I don't know. Oh, he does have 2,500 out of 3,000 experience, though, so he's probably looking to just hang on to that experience. That's probably another magic level at this point. Yeah, that would be interesting if he gave up on Trophy to not get Fairy right away, and then the medicine ends up being Fairy blocked. That would set him back, but, I mean, even if that sets him back and prolongs the amount of time that it takes him to finish the seed, you know, that's also, Homer's also going to probably fall into the same trap if he begins to catch up. And he's probably just going to be hit by the same stuff that sets him back at the same pace. This is another dead-end room here. Or there was, yes. It looks like he really wants that level. I don't really blame him, but he's at the bottom of the drop, so he's going to have to farm small enemies, it looks like. Yeah, he's just going to up an A and leave that experience behind and leave the medicine behind. That's right. It is fairy required. That's that one drop. It was the first room we saw was a drop room with an exit to the left, and that exit to the left was a dead end. The drop we saw the first screen was the fairy required room, which was a small little hole in the wall that gets us to the rest of the palace. And then, of course, at the bottom is the crumbling bridge. To the right was Rebanak, which led to nothing but a loop. To the left was nothing but a dead end. So it is fairy blocked. He did give up on the trophy earlier. So now he's going to head back to the raft tile and hit up 6 again to dig out that trophy to get fairy. Wow. So Homer, without the boots, has traversed the islands biome on the east. As punishing as it is, he's now in Death Valley without any real tools at his disposal. No fairy, no nothing. Trying to get these encounter skips. These encounters are a little terrible because I believe there are invisible Moas in here. He doesn't have the cross. I could be wrong about the Moas, but if I'm not, then those are always very tricky. You just have no idea they're going to hit you. They could simply knock you into the lava at any point in time. Or when you expect to be able to kill a red spider in one hit and you can't, and of course that drops you directly into the lava at that point as well. And you have to remember, he also doesn't have downstab. Downstab was in Mito, which was on the other side of the west, which was only able to be gotten to by the Death Mountain connector that Homer has not dug out just yet. And you feel bad for a runner in his position as well, because we're live, we're on stream, we're on there's an audience here watching him not really progress at this point. If it is this, he's going to feel good. We know it's not, so it's going to feel bad. But, it's even a little embarrassing. So, you always feel bad for these runners who put themselves out there, who put themselves on stream like this. And you never expect something like this to happen. You never expect something like this to happen. You always expect that at some point you're going to find the thing that you need. But 1 hour into this seed, and Homer has pretty much full cleared the east in terms of items other than the water tile because he doesn't have the boots. But he has traversed and explored the entirety of the east at this point for the most part. And he's done that all on his... I mean, that in itself is a feat, but unfortunately it's not a feat that was required to progress in the seed. And he's going to hit P3 in the Valley of Death. He's probably capable of pulling off a downstabless Rebanak. It's entirely possible, but not a fun endeavor. Attack 4, probably not too bad. Life 5, 6 heart containers, probably not the end of the world, depending on your experience with a downstabless Rebanak, but still not going to be rewarded for their time. Also needing the glove here. He does have the glove, though. That was something they found very early on. First item cave in the east. But he doesn't have a key, and I don't believe we've seen any keys drop in the drop pool whatsoever. So the boss himself, if he does get Rebanak down, Rebanak is not going to be dropping a key for him to push through the key door at the end, so he still won't even be able to place the gem. And that's just something you hate to see. Artea has made his way back into P6, it looks like here, and looking for that trophy item. Finding a nice dead end with a key sitting there. Decides to leave it behind for the next adventurer. So, you know what? We are seeing keys. There we go. We are seeing keys in palaces from time to time. So, I don't know if Homer has one. It doesn't really matter at this point, though, because he has up an aid. I don't know what's happening here. I don't know if he wants to even continue pushing forward in this seed. And quite honestly, I'm not entirely sure I blame him not having any progression luck 61 minutes in. And knowing that your opponent has also not called for a reroll of the seed. So probably assuming that his opponent, Artea here, has made some progress, especially 61 minutes into this, and him not making any progress doesn't feel good. Is it worth the forfeit? Is it worth digging deeper? I don't know. I don't know what you do at this point. I have not yet been in this position. I've not yet had the opportunity to do a live race myself, but perhaps he's going to just comb over every single thing in the east once again, just to double check that he's hit every available cave, which at that point, that might be what I do as well. If I feel like I've hit everything in Death Mountain, which we know he hasn't, but I don't know. Again, this is a really tough position to be in. Artea getting a little lost in P6 there. That's a dead end on these double pillar four-way elevators here. A nice fun double blue iron knuckle, quickly dispersed with thunder. Alan Heffley in chat, when you say only in Max Rando, is that only a Max Rando? Is it only allowed in Max Rando, or is it really only ever happened in Max Rando? Because you're right, I've only ever seen it happen in Max Rando. I wasn't sure if that was just a tournament, Z2R tournament-wide rule. Okay, so no reroll allowed even in the standard tournament. Okay, so you like to put these people through some punishment. I'm not entirely sure what colors are slightly different. I think between the two runners. Is this? I'm not sure what Palace this is. It's definitely not Palace 4. Speaking on Homer's side here. Oh, this is a jump block for Artea. I don't know if he came from that direction or seen that room already. It's a fairy / jump block. He does have the jump spell though, so entirely possible to get through there. Okay, so this is P2 for Homer. I don't believe Helmet Head was too far in, but then again, even if he makes it there are no keys dropping for him to place the gem. Even if he finds a key, just kind of sitting in the palace somewhere, the gem placement, it's just not enough. And he doesn't know that. He's just, at this point, you're trying every single thing maybe that's available. Just maybe. Maybe he thinks that he can find a key and find the item and just get in the item room. Maybe he feels that way. An unfortunate death into the lava. Got to do a small hop with dash there. Small hop with dash. Otherwise, you hit the top of that disintegrating part, and Link just plops into the lava. That's part of the trick with that community room. Here's the item room for Artea. He's going to be getting the trophy here. Finding Helmet Head on Homer's side as well. Again, don't believe he has a key, but we'll see. So there is the trophy for Artea up and hanging immediately out of there. Time to dig all the way back to... If he remembers the way to get to the west, hopefully he does, or maybe he can just walk around with the boots. I'm not entirely sure on that. Homer seeing the 1-up drop, not having a key, up and ang, saving, back to the start for him. Yeah, that makes sense, Alan Heffy. Closing in on why the reroll is only allowed in Max Rando, simply because you can find yourself in a seed. May roll very punishing and perhaps unfinishable as well, just given what it presents to you. But in this case, in the case of, I assume that in the event of finding, say, a bugged seed, which happens every once in a while with the randomizer, that of course is just a forced reroll at that point. But not something that can be asked for, invoked by the players themselves. So it looked like a pretty quick connection to wherever Artea went to with the boots there, especially. So again, I missed the cave where he went. He just simply zipped into Death Mountain and threw it very quickly, hitting up Saria, forced to go through Saria here. 3 screens of Saria, having to wait for that bridge as well. Or maybe he did a jump dash thing. I wasn't watching there exactly. But then he's got to head up to the northern coast, head east, beyond the Maze Island Connector Bridge, through a little bit of land, and it's going to be the last town that is up here. Or not the last town, I'm sorry, because there's still Rauru is up here as well, which has thunder. So it's going to be very close by over here, though. Homer approaching Horsehead here. And still without a key, though. I'm not sure. I guess there really wasn't much to P1. I think Horsehead was only 2 rooms in, so he just goes for the kill anyway. We need Artea to grab this spell, up in a, back to, this is quite a long trek for him as well. Up in a, go back to the east, go back into Death Valley, go back into P3, and dig out the item in P3, which isn't going to be a very large palace, but it's still going to take a few rooms to reach the item there, which is going to be the medicine. Then he's going to have to come back all of this way again because Mito is on the other side of Saria. And then he'll be able to get the Reflect spell. The Maze Island Connector Bridge is going to be very close by to Mito there. We already saw him just walk by it a moment ago on his way to Rudo. And so he'll be to P4 after that, kill Karak, and then up an A once... up an A to the front of the palace. He'll head back then, and GP will be close by on the northern side of the west. And that's going to be the final routing for Artea as he pushes through this. And he's going to be able to push through Death Valley probably even a little bit faster than before, seeing as he now has the fairy spell. So he'll be able to do fairy feet if he wants to. Otherwise, he'll be able to quickly fairy out of these overwhelming encounters if they're a little tricky. Fairy's still a little expensive though. At 48, he does have Magic 5, so he only gets 2 casts of that, even with his 7 magic containers at 112. I believe that's 112 magic. So here is one of those times where you might want to cast it, but he's going to make it out. So Homer looks to be back in Death Mountain, I believe. This is a replica Hammer Cave right here that he's in. I don't think he's digging back into Hammer Cave. He's already seen what's in Hammer Cave. He saw that actually very early on in the seed. So he's probably just going to be headed across here. That's right. And out the other side. I don't know how to get there without the boots. And again, Artea made it look pretty simple with the boots, seeing as it took him just a few seconds to get in and out of there. We're probably going to see a lot of usage of the dash spell here coming up. Already 68 minutes into the seed, almost 69 minutes in. Back into P3 here. And we're going to see how deep the trophy, how deep the medicine is in P3 here. While also watching Homer comb through Death Mountain. We know it's in here. He's got to stay in here. If he finds it before the seed is over, he's going to feel bad. I mean, he feels bad now, but it's going to be just another. This is his final race of the group. And so he'll probably be glad that this is his final race of the group and that he's done with this. He may, again, have a chance to progress at 2-2, moving into the brackets, depending on what the other players in his bracket do. That group is actually probably the furthest behind Artea finding the medicine here, but also this being his first race out of the 4 races that he needs to complete. So you're going to see a lot of Artea in the next 2 weeks-ish. Runners have had about a month to finish their 4 races, or how many ever races they have in their particular group, from the middle of July to the middle of August. After that, Alan Heffley starts handing out some red cards and giving stern talks to the players themselves. And then, of course, organizing who moves on to the brackets phase. And I believe that those that don't make it into brackets are going to be pushed into the Nuburu Invitational, if that's where everyone's headed. Instead of like a losers as winners bracket, we're going to have the Nuburu Invitational for those who didn't make it into the brackets for this, I believe, unnamed tournament here. I don't believe this one has a name. I believe only the other bracket does. He could correct me, though. There is the West Connector. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so excited. I'm sorry. That was our Artea side. I was so excited for Homer to find that West Connector, which he didn't find. I'm sorry. False alarm. No, Artea with the medicine, heading back up across 3 screens of Saria here. And not using a jump and a dash, going to use the Bagoo. Might not be familiar with the jump and the dash to get across here quickly. So there was some discussion about that. We saw that the other day, jump and dash in, I believe, just last night's race between, slipping my mind at the moment, but it was a punishing seed that actually Bagoo would have helped them out big time. But instead, they really progressed through the seed in a very linear fashion. And Saria was also blocking something in the previous seed as well that I commentated on. And, that was JJ and I forget who, JJ Schmidt and someone else from the other night, because last night was RCS. Anyway, it was some discussion, because this has come up in a previous seed, whether or not the randomizer itself, when it's looking at the logic on how to finish the seed, whether the randomizer itself looks at the seed and thinks that jump and dash to get over the gap in Saria is expected or not. Now, we don't have an official word, I don't think we have an official word, but I do believe the consensus is that the randomizer does not look at that as an official way to make it across the water gap in Saria. So that would mean that Bagu is then either there's something that the runner has missed and that Saria is not required, or if Saria is required, Bagu's woods will be found in an area that is accessible to everyone on the side of Saria that they happen to find themselves on. So there is the west connector for Homer. He finally makes it 72 minutes into the seed. He is kicking himself at this point, but he is probably incredibly glad to see that, just so he can stop looking at the east and other Death Mountain caves at this point. It's fresh territory for him. Unfortunately, there's Bagu immediately, so he's like, oh man, we got to get Bagu. At this point, though, he should have had, to keep up, he would have had to have found this maybe 30 minutes ago to have any sort of horse in the race still. Seeing Saria here, seeing that it's Jump Town, going to talk to the river guy, the bridge keeper, whatever you want to call him. Feels Bagu, man. Artea cruising into Maze Island here with Reflect in hand, or in his spellbook, I should say, and about to take on Carrick. We'll have to see how much of a troll this particular palace is. There's no way it's anywhere near enough troll to have Homer come back from this. Homer is just going to be playing out the rest of the seat here. Again, feeling good that it's fresh territory, feeling bad that he missed this connector, and immediately realizing this is the answer. This is the answer, because this is everything he hasn't seen at this point. And without a doubt, he's going to see Nito after this. He's going to see the Medicine Cave after this. He's got levels 4, 4, 5. He's, he's better equipped than Artea was when he first came through here, so he shouldn't have any problems whatsoever. Artea almost taking a dive into the lava there, and then almost getting hit from the back with the blue iron knuckle. Yeah, I agree, JD. It's probably not the tricks. I think the tricks should stay as tricks and just be useful in their own right, and that probably shouldn't be taken into account as part of the routing. Although, I don't know. It could be a flag that maybe gets set sometimes. Maybe when the 5-pointer randomizer comes around, we'll have some more fine-tuning when it comes to progression flags and things like that. Of course, we don't have that on the horizon anytime soon, but I'm sure, if you've got any feedback, anything at all, Alan Heffley is actually going to be taking feedback after this tournament is over, because there's been some debate, some controversy. Stabbing the boots, don't punch holes in them just yet, Homer. You're going to need those to walk on water. But he's very correct in that he's both happy and unhappy to see those at this point. But Alan Heffley is going to be taking feedback after this tournament. So if you are running the playing with the Z2R randomizer these days, either even as a beginner or as a veteran, I don't know what I consider myself. I consider myself somewhere in the middle of the road, but I will definitely have feedback to give, a lot of feedback, which I think is going to be valuable. But everyone, I'm sure, will have a lot of feedback because, like I said, there's been a small bit of controversy with some of the rooms, some of the settings. I don't know. I'm not here to say one way or the other, but I'm sure he'll have a good earful of feedback to listen to when all of this is over. And rightfully so, right? Feedback is great, and there's always mixed feelings throughout the community. You definitely can't please everyone all of the time. It's ridiculous to think that you could aim to do that, whether that's from Dig Shake's standpoint and what options are available in the randomizer, or even from Alan Heffley's standpoint when it comes to rules of a particular tournament. Someone's going to be unhappy with the rules. Other people are going to be perfectly fine with the rules. Someone will want a certain flag set. Other people will want their flag set. It's if you've ever had a job or any opportunity to deal with the general public, you are fully aware that 10 different people or 50 different people have 10 or 50 different opinions on one small little minor thing. But this is going to be the item room here for Artea. This is apparently he's going to check this out. Probably a heart. I'm banking on heart. Not a heart. P-bag. Okay. 500 points for him. Useless. Going to up an A. Going to restart that. P4 giving him a little bit of trouble. Just looking for Karok so he can get the hell out of here and get into GP. Yeah, it's funny about the feedback thing. I just, to put the spotlight on myself for a moment. With as much as I've been playing, I've played over 200 seas myself over the last few months, gotten a good bit of experience under my belt. Obviously, it's like the 7th or 8th time I've ever done commentary, first time doing it solo. So I seem to have enough knowledge under my belt to be able to keep the ball rolling, even in these seeds that don't really lend themselves to good progression, which I'm kind of happy that we've made it this far, and I haven't dropped the ball entirely just yet. So I think we're doing all right here. But I was actually going to make a bit of a kind of a vlog video for myself on my own channel, just kind of where I stand with the randomizer, things I like, things I don't like, things like that. And then maybe 6 months down the line, kind of review that and look at what I said, 6 months ago, and see if I feel the same way about those particular aspects of the randomizer. Because again, I don't think 5.0 randomizer is really right around the corner by any means. I think DigShake is slowly but surely taking in feedback himself. But when he's ready to make the 5.0 randomizer, I'm sure he'll let everyone know. I'm sure we're going to have another type of room jam account. I hate to say contest, just I guess we could say contest, but it's where the community members themselves get to play with an editing program, and you can make your own community rooms, which is exactly what we see here in the 4.0 randomizer. Brand new to the 4.0 randomizer, tons of community rooms. And again, that's kind of, some of the community rooms are in the center of the debate that is currently going on. Go east to find the glove. Thanks, kid. We found that very early on in the seed. But, when it comes down to the community rooms, the community themselves have made these rooms that you see available in the randomizer. They were judged by Unos and DigShake, and maybe someone else. Unos and DigShake, obviously big-time veterans, DigShake, again, being the author of the program. So they took hold of that. But I don't think that's why I say it's not a contest. I believe that if at any point in time you have just a good room, an idea for a room, I believe Nightcrawler was saying this one time we were doing commentary, that you can just kind of just keep your room, on the back burner and kind of just submit it as a suggestion for a room to be looked at in the future. I don't think there's any particular time where a room can or cannot be added, but then again, I'm not sure what the 5.0 randomizer includes any ideas that DigShake and others have for that. But back to the seed here, we have Artea into Great Palace. We've got a 4-way elevator right from the start. We've got a right and a ferry block that goes left here. Looks like he's going to take the ferry and not head right from the 4-way elevator. An interesting decision for sure. Yeah, that's not true. I'm not offering a free PJ's gift certificate, although I'm not entirely sure. I'm not even entirely sure where PJ. Maybe I don't want to know. Another right to left room there for Artea, and then into an elevator shaft. Double blue Foca here in an emoji room. Not a friendly encounter for sure. Thinking about how he wants to tackle this. Personally, I would probably use the jump spell to get up on top. Maybe kick out some of those topmost blocks to try to get the Foca to jump over, and then kind of get them to stay outside of my emoji while I've dealt with just one of these guys. But both of them are going to be on his tail here as he has to push into another emoji. This one free of any enemies, but he's going to take enough damage. He's got one hit left. That's going to be it. That's going to be a death for him. He's going to have to do that all over. Homer progressing through Maze Island at this point, just glad to be out of Death Mountain and the East, that punishing East that he was in. I'm just glad he's out of there himself. He's probably slightly calmed down at this point, just taking his aggression out on the enemies he's finding, but able to route through this as he's seeing a pretty linear route, realizing that if he would have found that's a dead end for Artea there. He should just up an A and head right at the first 4-way that he sees. And Homer probably realizing that, this was it all the time. Had I just found this, Artea definitely found this a lot sooner than I did, but probably not too much sooner, seeing as we're 81 minutes into the seed. We're not done yet. So Homer probably has it in the back of his mind that Artea probably took Artea a little bit of digging in Death Mountain to find the connector to the other half of the West, which it did. To the left here is going to be a ferry for Artea. Probably not going to need that right now. To the right is going to be the way. It's going to be a few platforms here with lava. Going to watch out for the Firebirds and the Foca, confidently pushing across that, although you might get surprised at some point. This is going to be just a standard pass-through room. I believe there's an elevator at the other side of this. Nothing too dangerous in here. Sorry, no elevator, just a pass-through. Into a potential drop room, although you tend to see these open ceiling rooms. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to drop into it, but also used as a pass-through room. This is what I call the pyramid room, although some people refer to it as the middle finger room. There's going to be a downstab room here. They do have downstab, and you know what? Did Artea pick up upstab? I pretty sure he did, but I'm not entirely sure. He's probably going to take a death here. That King bot hurts a lot. Sirth, it's really just coming down to experience. When you see that pattern in the particular one that I called out there, that pattern is seen in several different room configurations, but it's ultimately they're all very similar. It's just the floating blocks in pairs of 2 that you'll see. Everywhere you see those, that's simply just straight up a dead end. There are other configurations of dead ends, but at that point, there's no strict identifier other than just being able to look at the room itself and know from experience of playing the seeds. So the more seeds that you do play, the more that you play the randomizer, the more that you experience these rooms. Or you don't even have to play, really. You can just watch a lot. You can see the same type of rooms show up from time to time. I'll call them out as often as I can. And yeah, it just comes down to experience. And again, when you do see a lot of those rooms, with the one that I pointed out earlier that we saw Artea hit, you see that pattern a lot in Great Palace. You see it a few times in regular palaces, but you definitely see it in Great Palace a lot. Other things in Great Palace tend to be a vanilla drop room. I don't know if we're going to see any of those this time, but when you walk in, there's going to be a big opening up top. You walk a little bit further in, and it's going to be an open ceiling where you would drop down. And when you walk a little bit further in from there, it's simply just going to be blocks. So I don't know if we're going to see that. There's probably a handful of other dead end rooms. One that has curtains in it for sure, that has kind of a descending ceiling as you move from one direction to the other. It's going to have a ferry at the end of it, but it is going to be a dead end room. These are just things that you more or less have to play and experience them. There was a bit of a discussion yesterday in the Z2R Discord. Trails pointing out that there's not enough rooms from the community that require you to play a bajillion seeds. And even if you just watch players, you watch tournaments like this, you'll see these things. Double King bot back to back. One of them despawning the other one there. He's probably going to take a little bit of damage here. Maybe not. He might take a death. He's going to cast shield. He's on his last heart container there. So, okay, makes it through. Maybe we'll see triple big bot? Nope. Okay. That's going to be this actually is a dead end to the right as well. If you know that room, that's just going to be from experience as well. It's a Jackamus room with a vertical elevator all the way through it. And that's going to be a dead end to the right. Other times you see that Jackamus room is going to be a pass through, or it's going to have an elevator in the middle. It's just experience of running these seeds and seeing, hey, this is a dead end. And the more that you check these out, and he'll check it out and he'll show us all that this is going to be a dead end over here. But, and of course, you do kind of have to learn the terminology if you're watching races and things like that, especially if people are explaining things to you. Other times, maybe in the Z2R Discord, things like that. I always try to explain what I'm talking about. So when I say Jackamus room, it's simply going to be the room that we had just seen with all of the statue heads on the walls where we saw the double king bot. It's named the Jackamus room simply because a runner named Jackamus made a decision in a room similar to that, and he won the race because of it. I was not here for that time period, but there are a few rooms that have names that are named after runners who've made certain decisions in those rooms, and they've just had that room named after them. So it's something that I didn't know for a long time as just an audience member. I've been watching for a little over a year now, and I didn't know what any of that meant. And I didn't know there's an Eon drop, and I didn't know who Eon was, and Jackamus room. And I'm like, what is this stuff? It was a little confusing, but it comes over time if you just stick with it. Really, I mean, that's life advice in general. Just, if you stick with it, you'll just kind of learn the terminology. And it's not too inclusive to where someone can't necessarily explain it to you. There's enough to Z2R, I think, that keeps it interesting, but not too much to where it's just this huge turnoff to where you just can't learn it, and it's only people who have 7 years under their belt who can only play this game. That's definitely not the case. Now, to be fair, when it comes to combat is a tricky thing to learn in this game. It is a little clunky if you're not familiar with it. Artea taking another death there, trying to fight off that red Foca, taking a game over. That would have been what we call a waffle over lava room, or waffles and syrup. That's what it is. I usually say waffles over lava, though. Let me just check on chat here. What's been going on? Yeah, this GP isn't super nice, but I would say that we could definitely have something a bit more punishing. He's in here with 667, which are respectable levels, totally doable. Artea being, again, a veteran runner, has dabbled in Max Rando, has run some of the more difficult flag sets with trails and whatnot, just casually for fun, because that's what you do when you're just sitting around. So he's capable of doing this. I think he just has to learn the lay of the land a little bit better. It seems like he's a little rusty. Again, this is his first race since the actual tournament has begun. So that's going to be a death. Yeah, those guys take off a lot of damage. I would be casting shield a lot in here. I'm a big fan of having shield just because I know that there are certain rooms that I'm just not too good at, or there could be a configuration of enemies that I'm just not happy with, or that you could end up with a certain configuration of enemies that just end up being terrible, like this. And you do take a good amount of damage. But of course, anytime you break open that king bot, it is going to despawn everything else in the room for the most part. If you find a king bot at the very beginning of a room, and it's a very long room, the stuff at the end of the room may still spawn. So something to keep in mind. Remembering that to the right is a dead end. Coming in from the left before, didn't he? I believe so. Heading back down this way into a curtain room. Nope. Little indecisiveness here. Maybe likes to look at the elevator shaft. Dashing through here. Is that going to get him in trouble? It is not. This is a four-way elevator. We did see this before, so we're familiar with this territory so far. This would have been the room. Is this the room we died in last time? Yes, it is. So this is where he game overed last time. That Moa is going to be a one-hit Moa, so you might want to try to aim for that as you're just flying through here. He probably should have tried a downstab there. Everything's flying, though. He may have been focusing on that Foca. I know I put my focus on something specific and get hit by easy things. Taking a lot of damage, though. Botting a lot of stuff in and out of there, though. Making it... This is where we took the game over, actually. I apologize. This is where that was. So he's going to... So there's a trick there. Here's what I'll say. I'll try to explain this. What you can try to do with that Foca, because he keeps wanting to jump on top of that block formation, what you can do is you can try to bring the Foca, get him to fall down, and get him on the other side of you, and then you can push the Foca off the screen. You can off-screen that Foca, and he won't come back. He'll be... he will come back if you obviously leave the room and enter in again, but he'll be gone for the duration of you being in this room. So that's something else you can try. Sometimes if there's a blue Foca there and you don't want him on your tail, that is something you can do. Oh, I was going to say, is he going to jump up here and there's going to be an enemy? He's on a sliver of health. He's going to get up here. He's going to downstab through and he's going to be on to the next room here. This is a double glove block on both sides. There was someone who was saying they didn't like this room, and honestly, it might have been Nightcrawler. I don't know. I don't want me to call him out or anything, but I do like this room here. This room is kind of cool. Can be punishing. Sometimes you don't always find a terrible enemy in the middle here. In this particular case, we do. That Foca is going to be on him the entire time. Essentially, what you want to probably do in this case is lure the Foca over to the left a little bit, as per this room's orientation. Cast the jump spell, and then what you can do is from the floor, you can actually do a rising jump on the bricks and get yourself and slide in there. It's kind of a trick. It's another one of those tricks that you kind of learn as a veteran runner. Now, the blocks that he's broken out there, you can slip in there with a downstab move, but you're not going to get in there with a standing link. So if you don't break out 3 of those blocks, it's going to be tougher to get in there. He's taking a lot of damage. That's going to be a death. That's got to be annoying. That's going to be another game over. Homer over here in Palace 6, if I'm not mistaken. I believe this was the pink magenta-ish palace. Pushing through here. Yes, because that's where we saw the fairy/jump block that we saw on Artea's side. Still 5 bosses behind, even with such a punishing GP. It is really expected that Homer can close this gap here in any sense. But even if he does, as I was mentioning before, there's so many small things that tripped up Artea. Just the whole medicine trophy thing where he had to redig the palaces. Those are things that Homer may run into as well during his adventures here. But even if he does make it into GP is not super simple. Not the most difficult, but not super simple. Just watching Artea push through here, just if I give somewhat of a review, if you will, I'd say that he's probably taking a little bit too much damage in some of these rooms. I mean, it sounds obvious, but it's like, I think some of the damage is avoidable, like that Moa that he took, I believe, at least one hit on, if not two hits on, in that one emoji room with the red Foca that was chasing him. That should have been a kill there. He would have saved a little bit of health. And of course, it's a little tricky in the waffles over a lava room where he was taking a good bit of damage from that red Foca as well. So those are just small changes you could make. He does have some other choices to choose from here, I believe. We haven't seen left or up, have we? I don't think so. One of those might loop around, though, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember watching all of those particular directions. So this is what I'm talking about. On the room with the blue Focas, you could go high here. This is what I would have done. I would have broken out some blocks high and gotten one of those Focas to leave the emoji here. And so I would have only had to deal with one while the other one was stuck outside. As you can see, the red one is now stuck outside, just like we would have had one of the blue ones stuck outside earlier. So that was the move, I think, on the first emoji room that he found. Except the Foca makes its way through that area and then scares the crap out of you, of course, as he appears behind you, thinking that you're safe. Those things, I swear, we need to start hooking up heart rate monitors to these runners, and it's something that I've thought about doing myself. It's almost like a horror movie, and sort of like a chase scene. You're just, this Foca is behind you, and you think you're safe, but all of a sudden the thing appears off the edge of the screen. You're like, oh God, I gotta go, we gotta move. Because it's right there and it's going to deal a lot of damage. He's got life 7, but he only has 5 heart containers. He did not find nearly as many heart containers as Homer did. So that's what Homer's got going for him. Don't down stab through that. Okay. So as you saw that jump up move right there that Artea just pulled off, that's the jump attack slide into the hole type of move that is referring to on that double glove blocked jump room with the platforms and the red foot. This one right here, he could do that from the floor on the other side to get out of here a little bit quicker. That of course means that you're not, if you're getting hit by Foca sword beams, if the Foca is on you, if there's some other enemy here, he could cast jump right at this point, hit the floor, and make his way up. You can also, if you jump at the very edge of that platform that's closest to the blocks, you can also break out 3 blocks on your first attempt without having to go in twice here. We've seen him had to go in twice to break out 3 blocks. Do a little small hop, get in there. It's another dangerous jump though. You don't want to push down the pedal too far. This is going to be a drop room for Artea. This is a dead end for him. So all of that digging was for nothing. That is unfortunate. So he's going to, at that 4-way elevator, looks like it's either going to be an up or a left. Yeah, that was a lot of time spent digging into that area, but I don't blame them necessarily. I mean, it was a down on the elevator and it was to the right, so it was straight up and A's out of the entire palace. I wonder if that was an accident, a slip of the... No, he's back to the east. Oh, he needs upstab. It's a hard left. So that's what everyone was saying in chat. Okay. So here's something funny that I forgot to mention at the very start of this, because Artea has recently said when he was racing with Trails casually within the last 2 months, he has said in the Z2R Discord that he doesn't pick up upstab. And he said it hasn't come back to get me just yet. And that's so funny that these words have come back to haunt him, that he didn't pick up upstab when he was in Darunia, and that came back to catch him. That is very interesting. So while Homer did actually have seemingly a lot of time to catch up if he had just found that connector just a little bit earlier, I'm pretty sure that Homer, finding Darunia at some point, will pick up upstab if he hasn't already. Or I guess he couldn't when he saw it before. He didn't have jump or fairy. But if he sees it again and he goes in, he'll probably pick up upstab. But that is very interesting that Artea, that came back to haunt him in this particular race, which has already been so punishing to these runners. Such a rough start, such a slow start. And, probably, first of all, having the attitude of not wanting upstab. I don't blame him. At the end of the day, upstab is rarely required in Great Palace. But when it is, well, here we go, right? Here we go. because now as much time as he spent already doing everything before, he doesn't know where Homer's at, right? He doesn't know where Homer's at. He probably felt safe, maybe a little bit up to this point, but maybe not. And now that he needs upstab, this can't feel good. But we know from our perspective that he's still pretty safe. He just needs to find Darunia, wherever that was. I feel for him, though, when you're on an islands biome and you're finding towns just kind of scattered throughout the islands, it's like, well, which town was where? Unless there was something like right upon hitting the coast with the raft, right as you entered in there, you can remember what town that is. But if it's somewhere else, then you're stuck thinking, where is this town? Was this Darunia right here the whole time? It was. So right after this, he's going to up an A and head back into Death Mountain to push to the northern side of the west to get back to GP on the far northeast side of this continent. And I will say something else that's going on here is something I didn't mention 38 minutes ago. If you want more Z2R in your life, just side by side, if you just can't get enough, or if this seed is boring you, there's actually another race that's going on between Victor Santa Fe and I forget who. I can't look right now, but it's two other runners, and they're playing a seed of their own over on ZSR, ZeldaSpeedRuns _3 on that channel. And that's going to be, I believe, Star is doing commentary over there, and Animus is doing tracking. And, that's right, the Countess and Victor Santa Fe. Yes, Big Slamu pointing out that they are playing with a custom flag set where they do have Dash always enabled. This is something that just got updated within the last week, that Dig Shake just updated for the 4.0 randomizer, where we now have a flag that enables Dash all the time. If you're confused what Dash is, it's a brand new spell as of the 4.0 randomizer, taken from another hack somewhere else, I believe, with permission, of course. But when you see them cast Dash, like as you're seeing on Homer's side, that speeds up Link a whole lot. So just think, and we're seeing it on Artea's side as well, just think if that was on constantly throughout the entire seed. So, and there's no way to turn it off. There's no walk spell to turn that off for a screen or anything like that. So that does throw a bit of wrench into the spokes of the standard gameplay that you would see. So that could be something that's exciting. I don't know personally if I would agree to that, seeing Dash always on. It is interesting as a thought. Perhaps I'll check out that race after this one is over, just to see what that looks like in actual play. Okay, I wasn't sure if Animus was commentating as well. I knew that he had just signed up for tracking. Okay. Homer's going to be finding Goomba here with Jump. Yeah, everyone has a different way to fight Goomba. And I will say that if you're practicing, it's just my personal preference here. My suggestion is I probably wouldn't learn with the Jump spell. If you feel comfortable with it, go for it. But at some point, you're going to have to move into like more aggressive strats. Or you could pull off the Alan Heffley move here. Alan Heffley likes to execute this. He did this just yesterday in his seat against RCS. You can just keep Goomba along the edge, as you're seeing. And as long as you keep him far enough back, he's got a big enough hitbox to where he can peek out. His hitbox can be hittable, but the mace or his flail or ball and chain doesn't have a chance to spawn. However, what you need to be careful of is that the moment that he hits a certain pixel, that ball and chain will spawn, and it's likely that you're going to eat it. So he has life 7, Homer has life 7, not having much of a problem there, and the shield spell on top of that. So he probably wouldn't have had any difficult time with actually doing like an aggressive strat, especially with downstab at his disposal. So yeah, it's his preference to take Jump there and try that out. But if you're not comfortable with Goomba can be just kind of a troll. He's not really a difficult boss. It's just that he does so much damage. And the fact of the matter is that he's sometimes as limber on that floor there as like a ballerina. He just skates around on that floor, and you go in for an attack and you whiff, and the next thing you know, you got a ball and chain in your face, and that never feels good. So back into GP here for Artea, going to make his way back to that upstab room that I didn't get a chance to see. Knowing that we've wasted, I believe, over 20 minutes at this point. I believe Artea walked in here at 1 hour and 19 minutes and some change. So it's been over 20 minutes that he's been trying to dig through GP, finding that upstab block. And that's right here. That's right. This is the one upstab block that you can't cheese. Or this is one of two. There are two upstab blocks These are rooms that can be seen from either side, from either direction. So obviously, if you came from the left, it would be just simply a down stab. And we saw that earlier with the King Bot and the Red Foca in that room. And but if you see it from this side, it's obviously an upstab block. But there is an upstab block with vertical blocks that you can get through if you have the jump spell and the fairy spell. You can get through that without upstab. However, this is the one that you can't cheese in this case. And while he's using jump to get up there, you don't actually need jump to get up there. What you can do is you can attack the wall and flip yourself around very quickly and get up into that middle section. It's a trick that I use constantly. Jump is definitely not required. It makes it a whole lot easier, but jump is definitely not required. And he's got to do it all over again. Homer making his way to P3. He is going to be let down when he realizes that he needs Fairy to get the item. I'm sure he knows that the item is in P3 though, but as I was saying before, the same things that tripped up Artea are now tripping up Homer over here as well. So he's going to have to double dip into P3, actually triple dip, seeing as he walked in here without Fairy, without anything, all by himself, traversing full Eastern Islands continent. Definitely not exciting. Not something I would ever want to do myself, but entirely possible that the randomizer does throw you into that logic, so it is possible. But he doesn't have Fairy, so he's going to see that item room. This is going to be a dead-end room for him here. He's going to have to take that drop. He's going to see the Fairy room, Fairy accessible drop room, and then he's going to be dropped into a crumbling bridge. Rebanek is going to be to the right, and dead end is going to be to the left. And he's going to then quickly, or I think there's a loop behind Rebanek as well that he'll quickly learn of. And so, so it looked like it was upstab blocked in GP, definitely, because here's Thunderbird. Attack 6 for Artea. Probably cannot take a hit from that fire, even with shield on. Might do too much damage, only has 1.5 heart containers. Artea probably capable of handling this without taking any damage, although if he can't, he gets another chance, I believe. I don't think he's completely out of lives just yet. That was pretty close there. Takes a hit. Oh, still survives, so he has a sliver of health left. Probably thought he was dead. That happens to me a lot, where I think I'm dead on a hit, and I just stand there, and I'm like, wait, I didn't die. And then, of course, I get hit by more fire. But it looks like he's going to get it. One more hit. There it is. Takes him down, survives. The next time through here, assuming he has to come back through here again, gets that 1-up. That's always nice to see. As we had said very much earlier on in the seed, seeing that 1-up on Thunderbird is always very nice. But only having to kill Thunderbird one time, you only get that 1-up one time. So the next time through here, we won't have to kill Thunderbird. We won't see another 1-up drop from the ceiling. So he better use that to his advantage right now. Yeah, zombie mode is, as Clem points out, taking that hit just on a sliver of life. And anything, if the wind blows too hard, he's dead. Slides underneath the Foca, but takes the sword beam to the shin. Yeah, Homer finding the exact same loop after Rebanek as Homer did, as Artea did. Going to be disappointed that it leads right to this particular elevator again. Got a two-way room here. We can go right, check for the King Bot. Okay. Oh, there it is. Got to check for that King Bot. Might knock into the lava. So this is kind of a tough room, depending on what's in here, and especially if you're going right to left. Getting that final jump can be a little tricky. You can see that first platform was all the way up to the ceiling there. So another four-way elevator into another four-way elevator, which is probably just a loop on itself. Wait, no. This is flipped. So it's two four... Very interesting GP for sure. So to the right seems to be the only answer here. It's really two four-way elevators put together as a loop. Of course, the four-way elevators, two of those directions having ferry. So he's got a double ferry if he really wants to come back here and grab those. I don't think he's going to. There's Dark Link, and that is going to be probably the end of the game here. 1 hour and 46 minutes into the seed, finally finding Dark Link. Wow. I suspect that Homer will simply quit after that point. And that's going to be it for Artea, taking it at 1 hour, 46 minutes, and looks like 30 seconds on the dot, right around that time. Oh, backing it up a little bit, looks like 26 seconds. And Homer going to go ahead and forfeit, kind of as expected. I'm sure feeling quite a punishing seed there. So we'll see if either one of these runners want to talk for an interview here. Artea going to take a quick break, and I don't blame him. And Homer opting not for an interview. So we're going to wait for Artea to take his break here. Obviously, sitting down, playing for an hour, 45 minutes straight. Probably wants to stretch his legs for a moment. So that was a seed that really played out quite unexpectedly. And unfortunately, with Artea being a little rusty and Homer being a little new to it all, ended up being a really punishing seed. If we had seen some more veteran runners who are playing pretty much on a daily basis around here, we probably would have seen that seed probably around a 1 hour, 80 minutes in or something like that. That's probably like an 80-minute seed right there with the double dipping and whatnot going on. Although I am interested to know, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to tell us with everything that went on. I'm sure there's a lot of this is kind of a blur to him at this point in time. I'm very interested to know why he left P6 when he did. Maybe he didn't remember that the hint was for the trophy, because obviously he went into P3 without fairy, seeing that it was fairy blocked for the item, having to go back into P6, get the trophy, go get fairy, then come back into P. It was a lot of double dipping. He was just saying that, and yeah, he will be with us shortly, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to recall that specifically, but that's something I'm quite interested in. Also, not to put him on the spot, but I'm going to call him out for that upstab block, because again, him saying that the upstab block has not come back to haunt him. And let me see if I can find that quote real fast. Well, that wasn't too difficult. I found that the quote Artea, and again, not to put him on the spot, not to make anyone feel bad, it's just funny when it comes back to bite you like this and haunt you. But he does say, he says 3 or 4 years of upstab blocked in GP still haven't made me cautious and likely never will. So yeah, that's the quote Artea. That was very interesting that came back to haunt him in this particular seed of all seeds that this could have haunted him in, as punishing as that start was. But looking at that, we didn't have much available in the West. They had 2 item caves and the pass through. The raft was there. The raft tile they had access to. They were missing medicine. If I'm remembering correctly, Heart Container Cave and the grass tile and the pillar pea bag cave that they had. So those four items that they had to pick up. Although I do believe the grass tile only had a pea bag on it. Yeah, there were a handful of places that Homer could access early on that obviously were not the answer. He found his way to Speck Rock. He found his way all over the East. The answer was unfortunately for him not on the East, and it was simply in a connector in Death Mountain. But this time around with an Islands Death Mountain, it makes it a good bit more difficult to navigate that Islands Death Mountain, because you can't really, with the islands, there's so much separation between the caves at times that you can't exactly tell where all the caves may go. They may actually take you further than you think they're going to take you. So that's what it just comes down to, simply digging and digging and digging until you find something that works. Sometimes something presents itself in terms of a cave. Sometimes a cave will present itself very early on, or it'll be very obvious that cave leads somewhere other than a pass through. But that's not always the case, and we obviously saw that here in this one as well. But other than that, they got thrown into the East early on, and they did do a little bit of digging there. That did give them the glove. But again, that wasn't something that they wouldn't have found eventually. It's not that they were locked out of the East in any weird way. It was just that it was a forced pass-through. And we have Artea here. Okay, we were recapping the seed. Artea, how how are we feeling after that scene?
I have opinions.
Yes, we have some questions. So you were just talking about how you had to go double dip a bunch of stuff. We obviously saw all that. And we also saw Homer kind of do the same thing. It took Homer, you were well out ahead of Homer. You found that Death Mountain Connector Cave, not very quickly, but you did find it first. And unfortunately, Homer did not find that for, I believe it was over an hour. He didn't find the Death Mountain Connector Cave to the other side of the west.
Oh, that is rough. That opened up pretty much everything.
Yeah, he ended up digging all of the east on foot with no boots, no fairy spell, no downstab. He made it all the way to P3 through Death Valley without any of that stuff. And so he, rightfully so, did not want to do an interview, probably quite frustrated with all of that.
I can imagine. I don't remember where... could you even reach any key without the boots? Without going through Death Mountain?
No, it was the Death Mountain connector from the west to Death Mountain, and then the cave back to the other side of the west. That gave you access to the grass tile, which I believe was just a pea bag, and of course a forced Saria pass through. That's when you saw that, and then you started digging for Bagoo, and of course Bagoo was very close by, thankfully. And that gave you access to, you were on your final life, I think, at that point. It gave you access to Medicine Cave, which you saw immediately, but you dipped out. And you were like, you're probably thinking, final life, I don't want to die in here. Let's see what else is in this area. Mito was close by. You also got jump out of Saria. So when you walked to Mito, you had access to downstab. You were able to get a life refill. You learned that Reflect was also in Mito. You got the hint as well that Rebanak rides with the medicine. And then you were into the Medicine Cave, which gave you the boots, which gave you access to the coastline of the northern west, which I'm sure you're familiar with traversing at this point, with the Maze Island Connector Bridge there, the Heart Container Cave, and then Raru, Rudo, and Great Palace over there as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, only went through that about 50 bajillion times or something. Yeah, that's actually reasonably accurate. When I saw Medicine Cave, I still had a palace to find, so I was just shopping for a palace to reset my lives, right?
Yeah, I figured as much, and it was all the way on the other side, even though you dug in. Once you had downstab, I'm sure you felt a little bit more confident jumping into Medicine Cave. Medicine Cave, of course, being 2 large screens, potentially packed with garbage on that first screen. Could be bubbles and birds, or bagos and birds, or whatever. On top of that, there were divers in there. You did take a little bit of damage. You walked into that second screen at half health, but that second screen has a lot less crap on it, and especially with downstab, made it a good bit simpler. You got the boots out of it. I'm sure you felt amazing at that point. That really opened things up from there.
Yeah, having the life refill kind of... I mean, at that point, it was anything that needs to happen either in Medicine Cave or like somewhere in this general post-Bagoo area. Yeah. So it was just like, whatever, just go and do it. If you die, you can come back. It's not that far because you kind of figured out the road at that point.
Right.
And then you pick up the boots, and that just makes everything a hell of a lot easier.
So I do have a question. When it comes to P6, you had seen that Fairy was in Rudo. You checked for the spell item hint. It said Barba slithers with the trophy. And then when you were in P6, you found Barba very, very soon after entering the palace. It was just simply a drop to a crumbling bridge right from there. And there was Barba. And then you dug a little bit deeper in, and then you up and ate out of there without getting the trophy. And I don't know if you remember that far back, but like, what did you just kind of forget that the trophy was tied to Fairy, or what was happening there?
No, Fairy is one of those things that if it had been like in 1 or 2 or, a smaller palace, I probably would have just dug it out. But Fairy, at the point where I was at, it was like, may not be required. Let's just, pray to our Jesus that it's not. That was literally it. And then you get to 3 and you dig out the entirety of 3, and of course it's Fairy locked.
That's interesting. I always had that in the back of my mind, that maybe knowing that you had, like, I'm not a hardened veteran here. I haven't been in the Z2R community for too long, but I know that you've been around for several years, and I know you do the max rando thing a lot, and you're playing with trails recently and some punishing flag sets and whatnot. So I know that you're well-versed, and I was wondering if you were skipping Fairy as like a kind of like a gamble, like one of those max rando gambles. Let's just see if GP or anything else from here on forward is actually Fairy blocked, because there's plenty of seeds where there's not a Fairy block that occurs. And unfortunately there was in the one palace.
This was one of them. Yeah, that room sometimes, depending on whether the drop from above falls, there's a way to make it onto the ceiling or just right into the hole, depending on how you fall, where it might not be required for that particular room. The main one where it is just the whole lava room with the flaming skull thingies that drain your magic. That's a very long lava room. You need fairy for that one.
Yeah.
For the drop where it was at right now, it's sometimes you might need it, and sometimes you might need it for Eco Key. Eco Key, you could make it with jump sometimes too. So, it's like for one, maybe two, maybe three rooms, it's the kind of bet I tend to make too often, but sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. This case just wasn't the best idea in the world.
I don't blame you for that. That far into the seed, it might be worth the gamble. And we've seen seeds where, once again, that fairy is not required. But speaking of gambles, you took another gamble on upstab.
Yeah. So again, there's just one room in the game where you need it, and usually you can get through a jump, just not when it's the curvy community room one.
It's so funny because I forgot to mention this very early on in the seed as I was when the race began. I wanted to mention this to see if we could actually set the stage, because I know you have a quote, and I'm not going to go back to the other Discord right now, but there was a quote that you recently had in the Z2R Discord where you had said that it was like a few years where you've skipped upstab and you've never really caught you're not too worried about it. So it was really interesting that you had said that recently, and I had just seen it for whatever reason, and I just remembered it. And I was thinking, man, it would be crazy if there was an upstab block. And it just so happened that once again, with everything the seed already had to give to you guys, just so happened that those words came back to haunt you just months later in this particular seed. So we were just laughing about that.
Oh, I mean, it was definitely going to happen. But then can we talk about the GP, or it's like, oops, all chickens?
Yeah, that was interesting. We saw you dig in one direction through some emoji rooms, and it ultimately, and you game overed on that route. You came back through the next time, and it ended up, you pushed further, and it ended up being that dead end room. And then you had to, that's when you realized it was the upstab block, and you had to keep pushing through. But yeah, there were a good amount of foca in there.
Yeah. A good amount is one way to put it.
But it's interesting with this, as long as it took you to find the connector, and with all the double dipping you did, and having to leave GP, and the game overs in GP, it's like you had to have felt that Homer was somewhere close by.
I would have expected him to be really close. Not very familiar with him in general, just in races or tournaments or anything. So, but the fact that you were locked behind Death Mountain was pretty obvious very, very quickly. So you'd expect somebody to go in there, maybe spend 5-10 minutes, I don't know, but like in the same ballpark kind of thing. So with all the double dipping I had to do, that was definitely well, if he didn't do it, I'm completely screwed.
Yeah, and we were talking about that earlier as well. If Homer, it's really unfortunate that it just took him so long to find that connector in Death Mountain. If he had just found it a little bit sooner and then made moves a little bit differently than you did, he would have definitely closed the gap with as much double dipping as you were doing, because it's very likely that he would have grabbed upstab the first time through, even if he didn't want whatever was in Daruni. I don't remember. But and we did see him leave out a P6. I think he also went into P3 without fairy. So he was making the same mistakes that we had seen you made. So even if he had found it, that Death Mountain connector to the west, even if he had found that like 30 minutes sooner than he did, it looked like both of you were pretty much doing the same thing. He was making the same moves you were, which unfortunately would have led him to just as many double dips as you had. So, again, you don't know that when you're running, but from our perspective, it was just unfortunate. We were hoping for him to close that gap a little bit. hoping that Alan Heffley would have allowed him to use like a phone a friend on the tip on where he needed to go. But unfortunately, that's not allowed in these races. So he just had to keep digging, and it took him forever. And you were able to just take off. Once you found those boots, and that magic key was literally like the next cave you found. I think it was a Heart Container Cave or something, or it was in the Pillar P-Bag Cave. It was right there on the north side of the West. And we knew right then, it was like, oh no, if Homer doesn't find this cave soon, you're just simply gonna take off, because you got everything you need now to just open up the East, open up Death Mountain, anything else.
Yeah, and with GP being as rude as it was every death, every game over. I was just like, that's it, I'm screwed. I just lost so much time. And then it turns out you need upstab. At that point, it's just, this is PG-13, right?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. I mean, even in R-rated movies, I think you're allowed to drop 1 or 2 F-bombs.
I was forked, basically.
Well, overall, I mean, as many little trip ups as you had throughout all of this, you still took the win. This is your first race in your particular group. You do have another race tomorrow evening, fairly early evening, against Ellendar. That's going to be at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. I should actually be commentary on that as well, assuming my voice after tonight's longer seed is not decimated. But yeah, so GG to you again. And do you have any other final thoughts or anything else you'd like to throw at this seed in terms of words or anything?
Nah, not really. This seed is over, and hallelujah for that one. I look forward to making the exact same kind of mistakes tomorrow that hopefully will not be mistakes.
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully we won't see another hour and 106-minute seed, hour and 46-minute seed. It's a pretty long one, but not too far out of the realm of full 6 gem clears. Just those double dips just hurt every time.
It's 146 isn't too bad. It's dreadful for nothing locked behind magic containers, but it's pretty on par for an average to bad-ish finals kind of seed.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so again, GG to you, and good luck on tomorrow's race for sure. And again, I'll be there. If I'm not commentary, I'll be in the audience. And I love all the Z2R stuff, and I'm sure we'll see you tomorrow.
Excellent. Thank you for putting this together.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap things up here. Make sure to give our runners a follow, Artea and homerjsmash. Thank you to our commentator, Mirai, and to our tracker, Royale with Cheese. And for stuff coming up on ZSR, there's the link to the schedule. We're going to go raid ZSR 3. They're in the midst of another Z2R standard tournament. So, see you all next time.
Good night, everyone.